Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I feel called to create a video to reach out to other starseeds and lightworkers, or those that resonate with being indigo children, to see how many of them have had similar experiences to what I have, and just to come together and to share a light on it. I know that our stories will sound unreal to others, but this is how evil works among us, to keep us divided and quiet and subdued. So like I said, I do feel strongly called to share my story, and there are probably many other starseeds and light workers that have had similar experiences and remain quiet, just, I don't know, for fear of ridicule or whatever it may be. But it's time for us to stand up and come together and seek seek answers to our questions, especially from the government and the CIA and all these people that appear to have been doing experiments on us, or have known of our spiritual gifts for forever, and kind of harness those. So I'm going to elaborate on my experience with that. So as a child, I had many peculiar incidences, and this is part of the spiritual awakening, or the great awakening, that we're all currently going through. So our stories are all very different, and it's just to be open-minded and realize that we have all the answers within us. And what that means is, when you do the internal work on this journey and you realize that certain things correlate in your life with certain incidences, it is a great awakening. But it's also the realization that many others won't believe your story, but I'm not here to make you believe my story. I'm just here to share my truth with you, and it either will resonate or it won't, and that's okay. Please don't judge us, and none of the starseeds or light workers, because I guess we are higher vibrational beings, and of a higher frequency, and we're here to help others. So when we share the truth on certain incidences or in the issues, it can actually irritate other people. But that's, from my understanding, that's the light in us trying to share the truth. So when somebody gets triggered or irritated by something we say, it's a reflection of something that needs to be worked on within. And what that is, it's because it brings up a dark emotion. So then we need to step back and say, why am I having this feeling? And we keep prying in, why, so that you get to the answers, and then you transmute that negative energy into love and light, and you forgive yourself, or you realize that you built a belief system on someone else's opinion, and we shouldn't do that. But anyway, I'm going to go back to this incident of but that's how we get to this point of where we have remembrances from childhood. So for me, it was when I was a little girl. I was 6 years old, and I had an encounter similar to Monsters Inc., where I went outside to feed my dog. I think it was a piece of bacon. And when I turned around, there was a door in the courtyard that we couldn't open because it was jarred. But it was open, and inside of the door was this massive beast creature that looked like, when I've researched it, it kind of looks like more like a Marduk, or like a Minotaur. And it scared the bejesus out of me. Okay. So, and this is part of the Great Awakening, because now, when I look back at that, you realize that there are individuals or people among us that are what are referred to as energy harvesters, or energy vampires, or soul snatchers, or soul harvesters. But in this case, what they do is, these Luciferians, then they harness our spiritual gifts as chosen children of the Indigos. So they then harness our spiritual gifts, or our essence, and they sell them on the black market. And they're known as energy vampires. So they do exist, and I have been able to identify who my vampires are, which is crazy. And I'm just going to leave it at that for right now. So yeah, so I was 6 years old when I had the Monsters Inc. episode, and it's true. Remember, we're living in the devil's world, so they always put everything right in front of our face, like what they're going to do, because that's how they kind of get away with it. Because it's like, oh, look, it's, didn't tell, we showed them, and that's just how these people that are not of the light do things. So anyway, I was 6 years old. I went through that, and then shortly after that, I was playing in the park with my friend that lived 2 houses up, and there was like a van that circled the park, and these men got out of the van, but there was like a shift almost in the atmosphere. I, I don't know how else to, I guess it's my intuition or some kind of feeling. I don't know. It was just, there was a shift, and I knew that we were in danger. And my friend and I said, we got to run, and we ran so fast. And I remember looking at my legs, running away, and we hid in this granny's courtyard, and the men went away. So we went home. The granny took us home, I think. But I remember getting home, and my mom was so angry, and she scolded me, and she said that they steal little girls and sell them to Saudi Arabian sheiks, and that if they got a hold of me, they would never see me again. And it's something else that happened during this time was we were nearly murdered, and my parents were going through a divorce. So there was a lot of things that happened like in a short amount of time. The other thing, there was also a lightning strike that blew out a tree in our front yard, and it blew limbs and bark for like blocks, sorry. So these are all pertinent. Eventually it'll all make sense, and I'm still trying to make sense of this all with my awakening and realizing that there are vampires among us. Which sounds bizarre, but it's absolutely true. They're energy vampires, and this is how they harness our gifts and use them to manifest for themselves. So they create a wealth and abundance for them and their families based on our spiritual gifts. And then I guess the ultimate deal was going to sacrifice us. So then they take your consciousness and transfer that into a vessel of their choice, which to me, I'm just going to say, I do not consent. I'm a sovereign being. I'm a child of the Most High God, and I do not consent to harvesting my soul, or whatever they called it. It's kind of it's not, it's actually, they are coming after our cosmogenetic identity or our cosmogenetic inheritance, which they can't have, because these contracts are written from the beginning of time. So we are the Starseeds, we are the Lightworkers, and we've seeded the heavens from the beginning of this time. So there are certain beings that want control still over humanity, and I guess this is why they've targeted the chosen ones, or those of us that are Lightworkers and vibrate at a higher frequency. And that is in order to shine light and to share the truth of the world. And I guess, there's different names, I guess, for us. Some people will call us earth angels, and it's just, when I step back and view that, everybody can be an earth angel. It's a choice to make the right decisions in all of the time and be honest and caring and compassionate and kind and truthful, not hateful, envious, jealous, and conceited, or where you step on other people to get ahead. That's not of the light at all, and we're past that. That's, I guess, from the old Piscean age, and we're in the Aquarian age, and there's no tolerance for low-handed, sleazy stuff. It's like we have to be responsible for how we treat one another in all times, and we cannot go after people that have no ill intentions towards us, especially light workers. And just sitting back and listening to the Starseeds, so many of them are saying that these people have come after me, and I've sat back and I'm like, what is it? Because I am the Sagittarius Temperance angel. I do resonate highly with that, and it just goes back to my time and place of birth and my name, and there's like so many we have all the clues, like I say, within us, and it's just a finding them, getting quiet, and remembering those incidences in life which lead the path to now, which is what I'm doing. with this monster thing. So there would have been other children, starseeds, that would have had similar experiences. The other things that they do is like it's almost like a dementor, or like some kind of beast that they will send that would put you in like night terrors and push you down onto the bed while they drain your energy. Those are some of the I've had incidents like that happen as well. And also going back to the lightning, the weird lightning phenomena, that's got something to do with weather, comes up a lot for me as well. And then and like I said, there was the lightning. The other incident that I thought was peculiar was in 1981 on September 10th. There was a snowstorm in South Africa, and it was spring. And that correlates later on with what I share. So I told you about my friend, us being nearly murdered. Then, okay, so, sorry, I'm being wishy-washy. I'm just trying to get my thoughts together here. We're just making this video, and it's like I have so much information, and I'm not wanting to do too much and overwhelm too much, but I'm gonna just have to share and just be myself, because that's all I know how to be. So I am authentically real, and if I ruffle your feathers, it's never my intention. And usually when that happens, it's or even if somebody that I get into contact with as well ruffles my feathers, I'd often ask like, well, what is it about me that's making me feel this way? And that's generally how we can gauge it, unless someone's transferring their energy onto you and siphoning yours, which happened to me. Fast forward, from my childhood to last year. So there are Illuminati families, and people that know more about us than we know about ourselves, and have been tracking us since birth, it seems. So last year I was targeted by a group of people that I thought were Christians, and just with the incidences and the crazy experiences I've had over the last year, I've come to believe that they were actually witches from a coven that were sent to me. One of them also called me every single day for a month to study me and to learn, I guess, my ways. And then there were certain rituals or incidences. They claim it was prayer stuff. I have my doubts because of the experience itself. So one of them was they dropped my temperature so low, it took 5 or 6 hours to re-regulate my temperature. Come to find out that that was a form of spiritual harvesting, where they were trying to eliminate me spiritually and were unable to, because I am a child of God. I am a light worker that was sent here for a higher purpose. And obviously at the time I had no idea what was going on. I thought we were helping people, but they were not. They were harvesting my energy or trying to anchor me in some cave, is what my epiphany was yesterday as well. The other time it was like on the boat. It was 4th of July, so whatever the Illuminati or this group were doing, I can't just chunk everyone in there. It was just this particular group that was affiliated with two groups that I was following on Telegram. That was Negative 48 and the Sacred Blue Tent. These individuals came out of those two groups. Again, I'm not saying it's the group people. I don't know. This is where I met these individuals. So that, I guess, targeted me, befriended me, and had ulterior motives. So yes, the one called me every day for a month, was studying me, learning how to be me, I guess, which is so crazy. Because we all have our own path. You can't take someone else's destiny because it looks brighter than yours. But I do forgive these people anyway, because they have to deal with their karma. And anyway, this lady was saying, sharing with me what I thought was her life strife, but what turns out was a manipulation tool. She claimed, well, why would God forgive her? Because she'd slept with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of men. And I was like, well, God forgives us all. Once we've identified an issue, we ask for forgiveness, and then we stop doing it, because once we know better, we do better. So that was that. And come to find out, or just listening to the starseeds that are sharing truth, and from some readings that I've gotten, is that this person then used that information and turned it against me, and then was telling everybody else that I was a prostitute and spreading STDs. So it's so crazy that women do this stuff. But no, I've not ever been a prostitute, and I have never ever had an STD. So this is the type of things that these women that are false light workers are doing, to shun the light workers and to try and to diminish our light. But in this case, it's going a little bit further, because they are wanting to sacrifice us, as higher vibrational beings. And I've really sat and wondered and pondered as to what this could possibly be, especially laying around like, why me? What is it? And it's nothing other than just the time and place that we were born and our mission on this earth. And there are powers that be in the government and the CIA that know what these are, and even higher officials as well, that got themselves into positions of power, claiming to be of the light, but they're really not. And I guess they were hoping that the starseeds, or the chosen ones, wouldn't wake up, because they wanted to still have control over humanity. So by controlling us, or taking our gifts, our spiritual gifts, which they harness by sending us monsters when we're little, and then basically using our gifts to bring us to this point, and then us being the sacrificial lamb, is, I guess, is, I'm not the only one. There's got to be other people that have had similar experiences. But no, it's a manipulation tool. So there are people in high levels of government, and those that went into witness protection, well, claiming witness protection. For me, I have my doubts as to whether it's witness protection at this point, or a place to go into hiding to do their nefarious things against the innocents. And I'm not quite sure. It's so crazy, because you don't want to be accusatory, but it's like you have all these things happen, and once you can identify the vampires and who they are, and just listening to starseeds about scrying and mirror magic, I didn't research any of it, because I don't want to leave a digital fingerprint or of to potentially incriminate myself, because I'm not into black magic. I don't know black magic. All I know is that no weapon formed against me will prosper, and that if for any of those lower vibrational beings come in against those of the light workers that are sent here for healing of people, if you come against us, it's reciprocal. It's universal laws that come into place, which is like, you cannot come against somebody who has not done you no wrong. It's the law of reciprocation. It's for every action there's a reaction. So if I haven't wronged you in any way, and you come against me, or any light worker, any person that has a good heart and is pure of heart and has good intentions, you come up against us, you're going to create karma for yourself. So if you push hate towards me or towards others, or lies or deceit or manipulation, or you actually are going into witchcraft and doing spell work and praying to God to take out the people that He sent here, that's cursing yourself. We have to stop and think about this from a higher perspective. And when it comes to trying to sacrifice us spiritually, I have a very difficult time with this, because I don't know how you can sit and want to wish ill will on another being that has never done anything wrong to you, or even if they had, you just forgive them and move on. So a lot of this is like difficult for me to wrap my brain around, so I'm just going to be honest about it. So for fame and fortune, to take away the chosen one's destinies, this is what these people do. So online, yes, I was targeted. Yes, I was in a group. There's the other incident another incident that there was that they claimed that they were praying some baptism, but there was a force, a clamp that came down around me, and I wasn't sure at the time if it was my angels protecting me or if it was a binding spell. And I'm now thinking that I was so discombobulated and just so my mind was so scrambled from what I've been led to believe is chaos magic and confusion magic. And then I guess there are people in the government and the CIA that use elf weapons, which is extremely low frequency weapons, to do mind manipulations and mess with our minds so we don't wake up either. Um, which is crazy. You don't. No one has the right to do that. You cannot. You have no right. It's my free will. You didn't have my permission, especially as a little girl. So I don't know. This is what it is. It's kind of crazy in there. So there were the three situations that made me feel really bad afterwards. There was one, two, three individuals that was a common denominator in each one of those. And then this other woman kind of kept herself apart, but she was affiliated with them. There was another one that totally kept herself in the dark, didn't really associate with me, but I could feel her energy was extremely negative toward me. And just little things like that. So when you're higher vibrational beings and light workers, you can usually feel and tell on energies. You can read them, and you can feel like if someone's. And sometimes they're really good at masking themselves, because I didn't really notice at first with the woman, but there was some of the other individuals. It was just like you just get this feeling, and you have to trust it. That it was like liar, manipulator, lies, cheats, thieving. It was just this weird vibe that I got. So I walked away. I didn't like pursue it. But there was an incident where this individual was on a YouTube video with others, and they were giving misinformation. So, and like when you use gematria for stuff, you can't use a married name. You have to use your birth name to get true numbers, or else it's not relevant. And that's my understanding of it. So, those were the incidences last year. Oh, and when I was lying on my bed, and I was like, "What is it?" Like, I'm listening to the tarot readers because they're all angels. Yet religious people will claim that they are of the devil. It's absolutely not. When you are calling on source and you're a spiritual being like that we all are, you are, and your intentions are good. It's only the pure light that you're pulling in, which is of source, which is of spirit. So yeah, so there is a religious sect that will have their belief system, and that is a belief in the Babylonian doctrination of the Sumerian history that they believe to be the truth, but it's not the whole truth. Because when we research the Bible, you'll see that there was a Council of Nicaea, and it's got to do with Constantine. I don't know. I read this stuff and it's like boring, because to me it's like it's a lie. It's not the whole truth. It's partial truth. The whole truth was under the Vatican, and I do believe that the military is working on getting the true scripts and prints out for people to know the whole truth when the time is right. So for me, it really doesn't matter. We all have our own walk with light and love inside of us to fulfill our missions, whatever that might be. But there are powers that be that felt that they could step into the chosen ones and control our destiny, which, for me, it's like I call back my energy to myself. I'm not quite sure how we break soul ties. A year ago, I didn't know like hoodoo, voodoo, graveyard magic, witchcraft, black magic, scrying, mirror magic, necromancy. I didn't know that any of this was a thing, but it is. And then you come to find out that there are vampires, and there's different types, I guess. That from on my travels and on my journey here to my awakening, I've listened to some people, who claim to have grown up in the Luciferian sect, so they've shared some information. Also, when you step back, even more so now, and it's like, and look at things from a way higher level of awareness. So, I guess we're all higher dimensional beings, and we can see things from a higher level of conscious awareness. So when you realize that this is like a galactic war that's still going on, and it has been going on for hundreds of thousands of years. And when I get quiet, again, this is just, I'm speaking from my heart, purely based on my life experiences. This is not coming from an ego-based thing. It's not wanting me to elevate myself above anybody else, because that's not at all what I'm doing. It's just based on my time and of birth, the place of birth, things that have happened. And for me, you know, people are speaking about the CME that's coming in and this electromagnetic pulse. And I correlate that with the WOW signal, which was an SOS, I feel, when I put my life pieces together. That appears to be the first time that the negative forces, I'm just going to say the dark forces, because for me, I don't know what else to call it right now, because it was an attack against me when I was a little girl. Again, it was a tonsillectomy. But when we view this from a higher perspective, that was my first organ system that they came after, was my voice. And it seems to be like the last one that, well, I still need enlightenment, so my crown still needs to come back, but my voice would have been something that they took first, if you look at it from a higher perspective. And then when I was 6, they sent that beast to me to harness my energy and sell my spiritual gifts on the black market for my cosmogenetic inheritance, or to use that identity. And when I've listened to some oracles, they are really enlightened and guiding me to put all the dots together. And that is on the quantum field. And then some religious sectors will say that the quantum is of the devil as well. It's not. It's just a high level of conscious awareness that the world is a bigger place than we've been led to believe. And there's so much stuff that goes on in the darkness. That's why my story will sound crazy to some of you. But there are vampires and there are wolves. And, you know, I can take it a little bit further to give you names and stuff, but for right now, it's like I'm just wanting to get this out to Starseeds and Indigos and Lightworkers that have been targeted by Luciferians or witch covens, to share their story as well, and for us just to come together and lift each other up. Because while we continue to do that and share the truth, we continue to elevate the Schumann resonance, which helps to keep the torsion in the hydrostatic tension of the firmament, which is also really important. So we have to just keep our vibe up and still love one another. And to me, it's like when I look back at this, and it's not like it's not that I want to laugh at people, but it's just like, I'm not of the dark. I'm a light worker. I'm a beautiful person. I'm not bad, but I do tell you when you're wrong, and that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to guide each other and be that light. And when you do something that's not righteous or not right, it's okay to tell that person, hey, that's not right. Like, when did we start becoming offended from the guidance to when somebody's wanting to prevent you from going the wrong way? And saying that, last year there was a time where we could choose the way of the light or the way of the dark. And this is where these dark light workers, or these individuals claiming to be light workers but are not, because they use manipulation and lies and deceit and envy and magic to do what they want. It's kind of crazy. And then like make up stories. So this one woman that was calling me as well, the one day I was in the restaurant and the music was so loud, so I had to talk louder, and she was carrying on about principalities, and I know what it was, and she was so dramatic on the phone. She goes, why are you yelling at me? And I wasn't, so I knew that she had an audience that she was trying to play up to, and I just ignored it. And after that I didn't bother calling her again, because she's just full of shit. excuse my French, and you don't come after people. Anyway, so it's out there. I don't curse people. I don't do black magic. I'm just a child of God. My name tells you that. It tells you that it means heavenly child, child of royalty, heavenly flower. Um, and I don't know. I guess if there's enough of us that come together, maybe we can petition like the CIA to let us know what's going on, or the military. I do strongly believe that we are, those of us that are here for a higher purpose, are being tracked by the military, even higher than that, by Q, which is military intelligence, and that has got to do with extraterrestrial disclosure, which I feel, I don't know, somehow I feel linked to that. Again, going from that wow signal that I was saying, the wow signal was on September 15th of 1977, or the 16th, I think I wrote it down. I think it's, again, that's got to do with my story. I guess that was the SOS that was like, okay, they touched a powerful light worker, they touched a child of God that was not meant to be messed with, and I guess that's the CME, or the electromagnetic pulse that was generated from that time. But I don't have any fear, and those of us of light heart, pure heart, and love one another and do no harm to others intentionally, are not greedy and envious, will like join the shift and be good. And like, we've all known about this for many a long time, is to be those of the light. And I guess those of us that have done this, I don't know why I get 13 cycles. Those that have done the work, you know, we will transition. Like, no, I don't want to say transition because it sounds like you're going to die. You're not going to die. We're just going to wake up. We're going to have total pineal gland function, I do believe. And like all the lower vibrational beings, I don't know what happens. I don't know. I guess everybody has a choice to change in their ascension, and this is what's happening at the moment. Each one of us is going through an ascension, and we're all waking up at different times. You know, another thing that I feel it was like interesting to me is, oh man, I lost my train of thought now. And that's also frankly not necessarily just something with retrograde. It's also got to do with a sage. Anyway, now I'm getting all wishy-washy because I lost my train of thought. Oh wait, I did want to add. So there was one lady that called, and her name started with a J. She called me the one day and she was saying that she didn't know what was, and I didn't get a good vibe from this chick ever. She just didn't, she wasn't truthful. Well, that's the feeling that I got. She called me and she kept on saying that, you know, she goes, I don't know what's wrong with my animals. They're all biting me. My cats are biting me. Birds are biting me. And I was busy saging my house at the time. And I suggested to her, well, just smudge it. You sage, and you know, you get rid of negative energies. But there was something also that just wasn't floating right. And there was another lady that called me and said that her name started with an L. She's like this other woman had an attachment of a little demonic boy onto her, and would I mind helping them get rid of it? I was like, well, I don't know what the hell, these are all healers, so I let them do whatever. And I remember I had an obsidian crystal and a rose quartz in my hands, and like while Jillian and Liz were getting rid of that entity and getting rid of it because it was attached to Jen. So they did, and then they said, okay, then Liz brought this girl back in and explained to her, look, you cannot open that portal, and you cannot attach that dark entity to yourself anymore. So I just then totally avoided her from that point on, because I was like, I don't want attachments. I don't know what these people are dealing with. And then this Michelle woman would also call with Jan, and it was crazy. Eventually there just seemed to be so much drama. I just ignored them all, and they were not being honest or truthful, so I avoided them. But that was like a healing thing, and I didn't feel bad after that. But the other times with the woman that's name started with an A that did the other weird stuff that claims it was all it was all Christian, and it didn't. It had such an adverse effect on me. To me, it was not Christian at all, because nothing. That's just my opinion. Especially listening to the Starseeds and then realizing that I do resonate highly with the Sagittarius Temperance Angel, or Lightworker, and my birthday falls in December as well. And again, it's not an ego thing. I'm just speaking of my truth, and reaching out to other Starseeds that have been targeted and felt like, mental manipulation and chaos magic and just all this crazy stuff. And if you're able to link who is siphoning your energy, which I have been able to do, but they switch your energy. I guess they can somehow switch, once they've harnessed your energy in that way, they can switch it between family members or other families or something. I have no idea how they do this. So if anybody has any information about it, that would be great. And I've taken it further as well, as to, like, when I'm asking myself why, I guess it is the light of who we are and the genetic makeup. And it's even further than that, because when I've looked back, and this is not to, like, upset bloodlines or anything, but it is about bloodlines. And it's like makes me think of Harry Potter, because I am a positive, and I know that there was another powerful light worker that went into witness protection the day after that wow signal went through the heavens, and his blood type is also a positive. So and who I do believe my true counterpart is, that we're supposed to be together to help humanity at this time, and there are evil forces that have tried to keep us apart. I do believe that his blood type is A positive too, but we'll just have to wait and see. So, and then I'm like, well, why is that? And it makes me laugh, because it's almost like this battle between purebloods and muggles, but they're the muggles and they want our pure blood. And I guess, when I listen to Medusa, which is another oracle, she's telling us that, these people are trying to get us into a position to sacrifice us physically, because for our cosmogenetic inheritance. But, like, I have no fear of that even happening, because I do know that there's a force coming down on this earth, and that is the love of God, that is the light, that is generated from the wow signal. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. And I do believe that the day after this incident, Elvis Presley went into witness protection, and he goes by the name of Bob Joyce. My name in Gematria comes to 144. Bob Joyce Elvis comes to 144. 144 is the third of 432, which is the universal love frequency. I was born on December 8th, which is the 342nd day of the year, which is also a variation of 432. So I think once we balance the masculine and feminine energies within us, we get to make one with the inner child. So where a lot of people have their the Holy Trinity as Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, which is extremely patriarchal to me, from my perspective, we are all children of God, the Most High God. And I think Psalms 82.6, Psalms 82 verse 6 says something like that. It's just what popped in my mind. So we're all children of God. And I lost my train of thought again on what exactly I was going to say there, but this happens, so bear with me. We are light workers. We have been targeted by Luciferians and those wanting to impede our path. Oh, Medusa, I was thinking about her. So they're basically wanting to sacrifice us for our spiritual gifts, and then they transfer our consciousness into a different vessel, which again, I do not consent. I'm a sovereign being. You do not have rights to harvest my soul. It's mine. So yeah, that's where I'm at, reaching out to folks, and Oh, I really don't want to get involved with calling these people back into my energy, because I do believe that Source will take care of them in their own way. Um, and this is just how it is. I mean, obviously, we don't have any ill wishes. I don't have any ill thoughts on anybody. I don't want bad things happening. But this is where we're at. We're just at this place of, I'm not wanting to sound incompassionate, but I am a compassionate person. I am loving and I am caring. But I've gotten to the point of where we cannot be pacifying people that hurt children, like pedophiles, these people that set out of their way to harm children, especially now energetically and coming after your spiritual gifts. They were not bestowed upon you. God Almighty gave those to me, and they belong to me. You have no right. So I don't know who runs around this planet thinking that they are God and that they have more rights over someone's spiritual blessings, but they are. So this is also why, this thing that's going on at the moment, this ascension, is for all of us, and each of us is awakening at a different time. I was chatting to a friend yesterday as well, and everybody says, oh, we're all equal. I want to give you my thoughts on that. We're not, we're all born equal. Every single one of us is born equal in the eyes of God or spirit, right? But the choices you make and the way you live your life makes a change. So you can't come at the end of this time and now want to claim, oh, somebody else needs to bear my burden. I don't know how to say that. It's like we've all had cosmic debts that we've had to settle along the way, and you either do it along the way, but you can't do it all at the last minute. So if you take this is what these people are doing. They're wanting to take our spiritual gifts, not do the work themselves, and then here at the end expect us to forgive them, lay our lives down for them so that they can continue to live on false pretenses because they haven't made things right. No, there's no such thing. To me, I feel strongly that each one of us has an individual responsibility to do the work that we need to do to enter the heavenly gates. And when I was in second grade, my teacher drew a circle on the wall, on the board, and put a dot in it, and she said that's how many people will enter the heaven's gates. It's kind of interesting because it's the same as the sun symbol of the planets, which is impactful. And we've been transitioning. This is an ascension that we've all been going through, and even time has sped up from the 80s. I think it's I don't know, a few years ago I think I heard it was it's sped up 33%. That's why the days are shorter and time seems to be going faster. So we need to still get the truth out there. There is so much, and it really is a case of the Romans coming after the Gnostics all over again, and it's like this form of spiritual warfare. I can sit at home, but because they tapped into my energy, I know more or less what could potentially be going on. Obviously, I don't have the whole story because I haven't had anybody come and sit down and explain it to me. But I guess there's this war that's going on, and we have to look at this purely from the children, the Starseeds, those of us that have done the work to graduate from Earth School. It's just a crazy time. So anyway, I know I'm being all wishy-washy, and there's so many things that I want to share. And one of it also is just we forgive people, but I mean, you don't do something to someone and then seek for forgiveness, because the only reason most people seek forgiveness is because they got caught, and that's the sad truth. There was another deal that I wanted to cover, just mention as well, that I'd written down the other day. That was an eye opener for me on just certain things that we're taught, so, that makes you, that will make people that are programmed in a certain way make you feel like you're being cold and callous. but we're not. It's just like we're at a place on this earth where the evil has to be done away with. We cannot have people that target little children. Whether it's these people that traffic children, the ones that sacrifice them, the ones that create adrenochrome. That's like one faction of these Illuminati or the Luciferians. They're not. It's so difficult because they have so many different factions and layers and societies in this. But for me, there's the wolves, which are a thing, and then they actually would sacrifice children and drink their blood, and then I guess that's what they're wanting, which is crazy. So damn it, I lost my train of thought again. So this happens. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be all wishy-washy. I'll try and write it down, but then I sound so plastic. Oh, the other things that I was going to say, like, judgment. So when they say, oh, do not judge other people. Well, you do make a mental assessment. Like when you come into contact with another person, you're going to listen to what they say and you're going to listen to the energy that they give off. And if you don't get a good vibe, you walk away. Why the heck? That's judgment. Because you have to protect yourself from energies that are not in your best interest. So then they hide behind it behind saying like, oh, but you can't judge me. Well, don't do things that would make me have to judge you. And if you're low vibrational and you don't have good intentions, of course we're going to pick up on that. It's not a case of judgment. It's a case of protecting yourself against evil people or those that don't have your best interest at heart. So yes, I mean everybody's is forgiven, but to me it's like, why would you forgive someone for something you didn't know that they did in the first place unless they come and tell you that they did it, because they want forgiveness, and then what they've tried to do is siphon off of, harvest off of your energy to make themselves feel better about something that they've done, whereas they need to do the inner work and find forgiveness within themselves and seek forgiveness with their higher self and with God in their life. For me it's like, well, yes, of course we forgive people what they do to us, because you realize that they are lower vibrational beings and they don't know any better, so you can't help. I mean, how can you not forgive them? But again, like, forgiveness doesn't mean that you're freed from the responsibility of what you've done. It means you still have to suffer the consequences, and it's not like coming from a place of hate or malice. But I mean, forgiveness in the greater scheme of things doesn't mean that you're relieved of the consequences of your actions. So apologizing and asking for forgiveness doesn't release you the karmic debt that you've created. It sounds harsh, but it's like, it makes me think of a parent. Like, you want your children, we all learn through making mistakes, but then you have to suffer the consequences of those mistakes in order to learn. So if people have made up false claims and they're going to end up going to jail for those things, then that's how they learn, because, or else you don't learn. It's how karma works. So if you wish bad things on good people that have no ill intent towards you, you're asking the universe to give that to you, because the universe doesn't differentiate. It's like, oh, okay, this person is asking for pain and suffering for another individual. Oh, for pain and suffering that's directed at this person, but this person is a higher vibrational being. They don't think or do things the way they do. I'm going to send that back to sender. And once you tweak onto people drawing off your energy, that's what I've had to protect myself by, I don't know, return to sender. I like I said, a couple of years ago, I didn't know that witches and warlocks were real. But they are, apparently, and they're after they after us, after the Lightworkers. And I guess for me, I have a positive blood, and then, like I was saying, Elvis Presley went in witness protection. I know that he has A positive blood, and I do believe he's the spearhead of the military operation, or the secret, the top secret part of Q, which is military, which is the military intelligence operation, also to do with I guess the Galactic Federation of Light. So I do believe that when they came after me, not that I'm trying to elevate myself above anybody else, But I do believe once they came for me is what set the ball in motion. And at that point in time, the powers that be knew what their intention was for me, and it was like, oh heck no, you're not going to hurt my child that I sent to this earth to help all of humanity. So that's who I'm reaching out to, is all my brothers and sisters, all the other starseeds, indigos that have had similar experiences, so we can chat about it. And like, I don't know, I'd love to have you on a, I don't know, interview. Let's figure this out and see what we can do. Anyway, thank you for listening to my waffle. And I know I'm wishy-washy, but I'll get better. I love you, and I hope you have a bright and beautiful day. And if no one's told you yet today, remember that I love you. And I don't want to say bless you, because I never ever want you to be less. So we need to be mindful of our words that we speak. And like I said, all things bright and beautiful. Take care. I love you.